Welcome back to Amaroo Park Raceway, and cars coming into position now for the Alfa Romeo Cup. This is the 5-lap sprint, and on pole position for today's race, let's take a look at the field for you. It's the Victorian privateer Joe Beninca with a 106.5 as pole position. Colin Bond starting off position number 2 with a time of 106.7. From position number 3, car 99, Phil McDonald. From position 4, car 2, Alfredo Costanzo. Out of position 5, car 56, Tony Longhurst. From position 6, car 17, Dick Johnson of Queensland. Out of position 7, car number 23, Brian Wheeler. From 8, car number 1, Tony Edmondson. From position number 9, car number 14, Arthur Latta. From 10, car 11, Gary Cook. From position number 11, car 67, Ray Golson. And position 12, 15, Gerard Murphy. Well, that's the top 12 in the field of 15. Other starters being Grant O'Donnell, David Selden and Graham Harrison from the back of the field. 5-lap sprint around Amaroo Park Raceway. And the privateer, Smokin' Joe Beninca, starting off the inside with pole position, and Colin Bond, the pro, starting alongside. Flag at the ready. Racing and getting away smartly, and it was Bond on the outside of Beninca. Beninca got the second gear working quicker for him, and leads coming up Bitchapave Hill for the first time. Colin Bond dropping very smartly into second, and one making a move up on the outside is Alfredo Costanzo as they hit the top of Bitchapave Hill and drop now into Dunlop Loop for the first time. Now watch the many and varied lines. Oh, there's one a little sideways about the middle of the pack, but through the turn it's still Beninca and showing a good line to Colin Bond.
Phil McDonald has lost a bit of ground. He's in car 99 running back in 5th spot, and there's a real tangle going on there behind this leading pair as cars try to get past each other. All the same sort of vehicles. Alfie Costanzo and his Alfa Silver is in 3rd place, leading the pack, and Colin Bond already giving Joe Beninca a hard time. Up goes the leg of Joe's little Alfa, and Colin Bond glued to the tail. Around they come for the first of 5 laps. Beninca really set the cat among the pigeons last meeting by putting himself ahead of the stars, and he's there again, fastest in practice, on pole position, and showing that he really is a driver of the future. Colin Bond, a driver of the past, although a very capable man still, 41 years of age and going as though he was 21, after Beninca, who is 16 years younger than Colin, and going like the clappers. Alfie Costanzo has made a break from the rest of the field in 3rd spot to get a little closer. Alfie had a bad meeting last time, doesn't want to do the same thing this time, and he's trying to get up there because he reckons as the Australian Gold Star champion, the single-seater champion, he should be way up there. Car number 99 is Phil McDonald. His image got through. Look at the line that Phil's taking. He's got by Alfie, and Phil McDonald, who cut his teeth in all sorts of cars, including BMW, is out to show that he can get up there with Colin Bond and Joe Beninca. And look at the lines that Phil is taking. He's using up all the track. Interesting to watch him as he comes plummeting down towards Honda. There's a tight left-hander down here, the only true left-hander on the circuit, picking up the curve there. Let's see how he takes the corner, smokes the back tire, comes in tight, just clips that edge, does it very nicely. A good line there by Phil, working hard. See his silver helmet bobbing away at the wheel, and he's made up a little bit of ground, but he'll still be a good 25 metres behind Colin Bond, still tailing Joe Beninca.
Coming around towards the end of their second lap, and there you see McDonald, and that's field streaming through behind him. Costanzo in 4th spot, but back at the front, Joe Beninca. And by gee, he really has given these pro drivers something to think about in this Alfa Romeo series. Up the hill again. Colin, he's shaking him off just a little. 2.5, 3 car lengths. They were nose to tail last time they went over here. Woof.
I think it's obvious that Joe didn't have breakfast this morning. It's been a weight reduction.
Well, he's been trying to shave tenths of a second off his time. He's a very intense young man, backed by his family, who are all Alfa Romeo experts in Melbourne, and they've been working out how they can save a 10th here and a 10th there. One thing he still has to learn, I think, is the track. He's still coming to grips with this very difficult circuit here, but he certainly knows his car.
Well, if he's very intense, it makes him the opposite sort of man to Colin Bond, doesn't it?
Well, Colin braked very late there, Gary, to try and get close, and he did, in fact, maybe close up by about 1/4 of a car length, and come through the corner very quickly, just a little bit faster out of it.
McDonald in 3rd place under real pressure now from Alfie Costanzo too.
Yes, Alfie has closed up a lot. He's right on the tail.
Alfie's going to take him through the corner, in fact. Just coming through behind the leaders.
There's a great old sideways battle behind there in which Phil McDonald has been passed by 2 cars. Here they come now. Costanzo goes through first, and Phil McDonald, who had been second, is now way back. Here's the rest of the field, very close as you can see. But the real battle going on among the leaders at the moment, where Colin Bond is fighting to try and get by the young man from Victoria, Joe Beninca.
And I think it's Dick Johnson that slipped into 4th place now behind Costanzo in front of McDonald.
Dick Johnson didn't have a good practice really yesterday, only 6th fastest, in fact behind the other young driver from Queensland, if you can call Dick a young driver, Tony Longhurst, who really is a man to keep around. He's driving car 56 and he really is a prospect for the future. He's only in his 4th race ever, and here he is doing exceptionally well and right up there among the leaders.
2.5 laps remain in the Alfa Romeo 5-lap sprint here at Amaroo Park. Joe Beninca, and there's Colin Bond soaking on rubber as he picks up the inside rear wheel. Puts a lot of pressure on Beninca down this part of the course. Beninca's car seems to have just maybe a little more horsepower, or he's getting driving a little more out of the motor, and Bond is driving probably another 10th harder than Joe at the moment.
And Johnson and Costanzo side by side going down into the corner. Oh, gee. The racing is tight at the front and for 2nd and for 3rd and 4th.
Last lap board comes out, and they've got 1 lap to go on this 5-lap sprint, and 1 lap only for Colin Bond. If he can put some pressure on Joe Beninca. Coming up to the top of the hill, we'll see if Bond, I think from this point on, Bond can maybe put a little more pressure on down the back part of the course.
Beninca must realise that last time he succumbed to pressure from Dick Johnson, and in fact let Colin Bond get through as well, and Bond really is showing his experience now. He's hassling the young man, putting his car into crazy lines just to try and unsettle young Joe and get by. He's got a couple of corners where he might do it. The first is the left-hander known as Honda. He'll try and get a good line there. That's the one that comes up after this bend. Here they go together. Bond is very well placed. What will Beninca do? Will he cover him or will he open the gate? Bond is going late, locks the back brake, tries the tight run, goes on the grass. Beninca holds him off though, 2 more corners to go. Beninca's just in front. Bond will try the outside, but Beninca is trying to cover him. Now Bond is switching. He's leaving his option to the very last minute. Now he goes wide. He'll come through very fast. Beninca covering him. Takes a slightly slower line through. Bond will come quickly. Try for the inside. He just has a nose along the back of the car, but Beninca, I think, will hold him. They're coming to the last bend. Beninca still in the lead. Bond trying very hard, but Beninca will hold him off. And Joe Beninca will go through and beat Colin Bond. Back
in the pack, Alfredo Costanzo running a very, very good 3rd as they go across the line.
Just.
Barely from Dick Johnson. So there you have the Alfa Romeo 5-lap sprinter race. 1st place going to the pole sitter Joe Beninca in car number 10. 2nd place to Colin Bond in car number 7. And 3rd place going to Alfredo Costanzo, who finished back in the pack in car number 2. Well, 2 drivers with a wealth of experience in V8 cars today find themselves in a round of the Alfa Romeo Cup. They're used to twisting big V8s around the big tracks and the small tracks. Today it's small cars on a very demanding small track. Colin Bond and Dick Johnson. Well, Colin, you're 2nd on the grid, but that Joe Beninca's got up and beaten you again.
Well, that's right. He certainly knows his Alphas, I'd say, because they have run them, a lot of the times before, and it just proves, I think, they're a little bit of experience in the particular cars around here, but we're all getting closer.
Although Joe's been around and driving for quite a while, he's regarded as a rookie in the company of a lot of the pros, but he was unflustered at the opening meeting.
Well, he was actually. He surprised me because a couple of times he went around the loop and got that far sideways and that far out of control and that wide. I thought, well, there's no way he's going to get it back, and you back off a bit, and next thing he's back on the road in front of you. So I think this time we're just going to have to keep your foot down. You know he's going to get back, so this time we're going to make sure we come out in front. That's about all.
Well, a fellow who dominated the opening round, talking about keeping the foot down and getting it sideways and being able to recover it, is my mate from Queensland, Dick Johnson. What happened? You're back on the grid.
Well, actually, I think last meeting was a bit of a try it and see. Like, we haven't touched the car, but I think obviously everyone else has been working extremely hard. So we might even have to get serious about this operation by the next meeting. Although today I feel that even though we're 0.001 of a horsepower down on the others, we'll see if we can make it up in some other way by jumping a few more curbs or something.
Just how much on the limit are you in these Alphas?
Well, my car ran out of brakes a couple of times. It doesn't seem to make any difference, so you don't really use the brakes that much.
Well, you've got a tough race coming up, and we wish you the best of, obviously, to you, Dick, and also to Colin, and take care of that rookie Joe Beninca that's giving you.
Well, I think we'll make it a real good race somehow.
Okay, that's, of course, the Alfa Romeo Cup. It's upcoming after we take this break and return to Amaroo Park Raceway. Welcome back to Amaroo Park Raceway near Sydney. We certainly hope that you're enjoying our telecast brought to you around Australia by Goodyear. Let's take a look now at the starters for the Alfa Romeo Trophy Series. Joe Beninca of Victoria, car number 10 from 1. Car 7, Colin Bond from 2. Phil McDonald, 99 from 3. Alfredo Costanzo, car 2 from 4. 56, Tony Longhurst from 5. 17, Dick Johnson of Queensland from 6. Brian Wheeler, car 23 from 7. From position 8, car 1, Tony Edmondson. From position 9, 14, Arthur Latta. From 10, car 11, Gary Cook. From 11, 67, Ray Golson. And from 12, car 15, Gerard Murphy. With Grant O'Donnell, David Selden and Graham Harrison at the back of the field. Flag up. Racing, getting away smartly indeed, and on the outside, Colin Bond and Joe Beninca go for broke, heading up Vitupay for the first time. This 8-lapper with Beninca in front and also making a very, very good run down the outside is Alfie Costanzo, trying to make it 3 wide as they get to the top of Marlborough. May have been able to sneak through, and now it's down to Dunlop for the first time.
That was a good move by Costanzo, but whether he can hold that line out there, he's right wide. He's outside Colin Bond. It's Beninca who's leading, and it'll be Bond second. And it'll be rather an embarrassed Arthur Latta who finally rejoins the field, but at least he's got it all together and he can get a good view of what's going on here. It's Joe Beninca who's in the lead again. He won an earlier race. It is a remarkable achievement by the 25-year-old Victorian. And look at the move by Bond on the inside, and that's as close as you can go to rolling the car without doing any damage. He's got the lead though. Alfie Costanzo shoveling his way up there, trying to get in there. 99 is Phil McDonald as well, but it's Beninca there. There's a car on the gravel there, and this is a pretty precarious sort of situation. We've got cars spinning and going into the wall. A few of them are touched.
2, 3 of them are off. Well, I can't keep track. Who's who here?
Well, I can be sure if they're in an Alfa Sur. 23's Brian Wheeler, who had a bit of a spin off there, but a couple of them went. No great damage. They're all back in the race. It's something of a miracle, but they had a real tangle there and went wandering off. Phil McDonald goes through in 99.
Bond still in front. Beninca still second.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there's a hard one. The car was pushed off.
It's Costanzo.
Nose first into the wall. We can see Alfie in the seat. He's okay. He's moving his head, but he went in very hard. He's all right. He's opening the door, trying to. But there was a touch there as the cars came up the hill. Alfie's okay. There was a touch there as they came up. We'll see what happened again. There's a great cheer from the crowd. They love Alfie and they don't want to see anyone hurt here. We'll see again just what happened. But they were going up the straight. There's Beninca's car. He was clear of the action. Watch behind though. Now Alfie came from the right. He got a bit of a touch on the back, which put him out of control, and he went right across the track. And that is the fastest part of the circuit. And he went nose first into the wall. Look at the way that he's got out of it though. I mean, if ever you had any doubt about the strength of modern cars, see that all the damage has occurred in the nose, and the cabin where the driver sits and passengers would sit is absolutely undamaged. So there's a demo we didn't want to see, but luckily Alfie Costanzo, who must have had the fright of his life, is okay.
Colin Bond is still the race leader. There he is. Joe Beninca in second place in car number 10, and in all that confusion on the last lap, Tony Edmondson in car number 1 has sneaked through into third spot.
Well, the Alfa there of Alfie Costanzo not in the best place on the racetrack, let me tell you, but Colin Bond, who goes through Dunlop Loop, holding a lead in this race. Joe Beninca back behind him, winner of the previous sprint race this morning, as they work to the back part of Amaroo Park. And whether or not Beninca can muster enough speed out of his machine to initially catch Bond, and then what he has to do with is passing Colin Bond. Here's Bond locking the back wheel up over the curb, handles like a dream, heads down the short straight towards Winfield, and Beninca has in fact made up some ground and is coming back towards Colin Bond.
I reckon Beninca has learned his way around the track now. He did a much better job of cornering there than Colin Bond. Colin followed the line that Joe was following before. Joe took a much cleaner line and came through faster, and he must have learned a lesson from that. There's a fair gap back to the rest of the field.
David Selden's got up now to third spot. He's got past Tony Edmondson, and they're having a real dice, but Selden came from second last spot on the grid.
Well, it's not hard to do, seeing that they're all turning left and right at the same time. Heading up Vitupave again, Colin Bond, one of Australia's most experienced racers. Joe Beninca, who knows a lot about Alphas, and he is that close he could almost mail the letter. Through the corner.
Joe wouldn't have wanted to hit the curb quite as hard, but he couldn't see the road. He was so close to Colin Bond's car. He certainly is using more of the bitumen than what is intended.
Yeah, and a bit more. But Joe's got it wound up, coming down behind Colin Bond. Bond again. Brakes very effective. Just clips the top of the curve there. And Beninca closes in on Colin Bond. Coming down to look for an inside pass. Here he comes. Not this time though. Brian Wheeler back in the pack in 23 has incurred a 1-minute penalty for jumping the start, but I don't think he was even noticed.
In third and fourth position we have a great battle between David Selden, who, as you pointed out, Mike, started in second last spot, and Tony Edmondson in car 1. But they're a long way back, so they're both built up by the spinning and gyrating that went on. This is where the battle is for the lead. Colin Bond's in front, but Joe Beninca is not letting him get away 1 centimetre. Look how he's hanging on to him. And if anything happens to Colin Bond, Joe will be the first to see it.
Here's the gap back to David Selden. Where is he? Here comes David Selden, Tony Edmondson, and Dick Johnson now putting the pressure on these two in the scrap for 3rd, 4th and 5th places.
David Selden is at 104. Yes, the car in front, and then car 1 is Tony Edmondson, the former Sport Sedan champion. Formerly Tasmania, now South Australia.
Yes, he knows a little difference with the horsepower today.
Yes, he's about 600 down on what he normally drives.
Okay, down to Honda corner. I say.
They're front-wheel drive cars, the Alfa Suds, horizontally opposed 4-cylinder engines, have a reputation of being among the finest handling small cars, but they're being flung around here with real abandon. The back wheels lock up because all the weight goes on the front, and they're not much in use anyhow. As you can see on the corners, the back don't touch the ground all the time.
Not only are the cars, but judging by the way they jump the curbs, the drivers are horizontally opposed.
Dick Johnson is going twice as fast as some of the others. He's doing his best to get around them. Look how he waves in frustration, just trying to get by the group. In the Beninca pits, or no, one of the other pits, they're taking the time of the cars. Dick Johnson is the black car on the outside of Tony Edmondson, trying to get by. He decides, no, there's not much point. Oh,
he had to move.
I forgot about Alfie. Yes.
Could have perhaps gone down the inside.
He was saying, thank heavens, it's got a bob tail.
So Selden withstanding the pressure at the moment from both Edmondson and Dick Johnson. Meantime, up front, Bond, of course, and Beninca smiling at themselves, keeping the opposition busy back here. There's Bondy, car number 7. And Beninca right on his tail. Just the reverse of the positions in the earlier heat today.
There's a special prize in this race given by Pi, $1,000 worth of home video equipment. We've got to nominate which is the most spectacular or worthy incident of a replay. There have been so many, I'm not quite sure what we're going to decide here.
My vote's for Alfie Costanza.
Well, it's to go to an amateur driver, and Alfie might be as impoverished as most amateurs, but he hardly classifies, seeing he's a national Gold Star champion. But he could certainly do with the money. And maybe with the machine to do a replay after replay after replay.
Dick Johnson up to 4th place in the race so far, as we see the remains of Alfie's Alpha City car straight halfway up the front straight. Colin Bond locks up again. Certainly working the radials to full extreme through the corner.
One would be very tempted to say the great effort by an amateur would be Joe Beninca, and he's certainly doing better than anyone else. But when you think what David Selden has done, he's come through from the 2nd last position on the grid to becoming 3rd. That is a magnificent achievement, and we'll see how he goes on the track, but that looks to me like one who could well and truly have his name inscribed on the Pi Award. $1,000 every meeting they get. One of the drivers on the amateurs gets the Pi equipment of that value, so it's just an extra bonus to these drivers. Bear in mind that the man who wins the series, 4 races here at Amaroo Park and 1 at Calder in Victoria, and here's a move on Colin Bond.
And having sung David Selden's praises, he's now lost out, and that's scrap to both Edmondson and Dick Johnson. Edmondson's now 3rd, Johnson 4th, and Selden 5th.
But still,
he's clawing his way back to the tail of the field.
Whoever wins the series after 5 races will go to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix on September the 11th to represent Australia. So there's a tremendous incentive for drivers to do well here.
They're on the last lap.
And still Colin Bond is your race leader. Here he is with Joe Beninca in 2nd place behind him as they work the last lap. Beninca still fairly close as they come down past Peter Warren, heading down to the left-hander at Honda. And I think Beninca may be setting him up for a charge on the inside at Winfield Corner. Let's wait and see. They come down to Honda now.
Well, Beninca has been the find of the season, hasn't he? He really is an outstanding young driver. Driving against some of the greatest men in Australia. There's no more experienced or mature driver than Colin Bond. Mature in the sense that he just doesn't make mistakes. He's having to go on the outside. He may swing to the inside, but Colin's going to make it very hard for him. Joe had to brake a little bit there, and that might just be enough to make sure that Colin Bond wins the race. Someone's taken a shortcut. That's not allowed. He's just showing you the strength of the suspension. Back on the track, no damage. The car completely under control. Colin Bond will win the race. Joe Beninca has to be happy with 2nd spot. And who's going to get 3rd spot? Will it be Dick Johnson?
Car number 1, I think you'll find, is going to take 3rd place. That's Tony Edmondson. It certainly is. Dick Johnson crosses the line in 4th spot. And David Selden, who drove so well during the mid-part, did well to finish 5th after coming from near the rear of the grid.
And I would say that David Selden would still be the winner of the Pi Award, because it was an outstanding effort to get up there into that position, having started from the back row of the grid At one stage challenging in third, but he was up against some good opposition. Tony Edmondson and Dick Johnson are top drivers, and for David Selden to finish just behind them is an outstanding achievement.
Well, before we go back to the award, the cars continuing on down the back part of the course, the crews move in to make sure that all is well. Well, we know it's not well with the Alfie Costanzo car. And there's the remains of Alfie's machine, just confirming those placings again for you in round 2 today. The Alfa Romeo Trophy Series, the win going to car number 7, Colin Bond. Second place, of course, to Joe Beninca in car number 10, and third place going to Tony Edmondson in car number 1. Well, it was certainly a race of changing fortunes. Bond got away very quickly, and as I said before, Joe Beninca has kept him honest all day. Now, Evan, it's up to you for the Pie Award winner.
I think David Selden, Joe Beninca did magnificent things, but David Selden really, look how hard he was going up against some absolutely top-class drivers. That's an outstanding bit of cornering there on the outside to go around Tony Edmondson to put himself in the third spot. Edmondson got past him again, as did Dick Johnson, but you're in absolutely top company, and the man who has won the Pie Award for his great drive today is David Selden.
Okay, good one for David Selden. Okay, you can see them removing now the Costanzo car. Of course, Alfa provided 4 cars for the series. This was one of them. So poor Enrico is now down to 3. We'll take a break and return with more motor racing action live from Amaroo Park.